you and I have been playing. You and I are both aficionados for classic Konami NES and Super NES era games, and
Yeah.
it's been a while since a true sequel to one of our favorite series from the late 80s, early 90s really kind of made itself known. Yeah, there have been a few here and there, but um, there's a big push to bring back Contra. And
Yeah.
so
Every couple of
Contra,
few years, you get a Contra game. I forget what that one isometric Contra game was, like 5 years ago or something. It was like,
yeah.
but yeah, no, Contra Operation
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 Galuga.
Galuga. Yeah, it's a remake of the very, very first Contra game.
Which I didn't even realize until I started getting into it and then playing it and thinking, oh yeah, I remember this part. I kind of know this part.
It's super funny for me because like it's a remake of Contra 1, but it cuts out so much Contra 1 content.
It does.
I didn't really remember it was Contra 1 until we were jumping up the waterfall with the falling rocks. That was where I was like, oh yeah, because like there's a scene where you're in the village. And it felt like it felt like a remake of Metal Slug.
Oh yeah,
Contra. And it gets rid of all of the like weird hallway crawler levels, the in between levels where you're walking down the hallways and stuff. Yeah. So this is done by Wayforward, who I love Wayforward.
Mm-hmm.
Wayforward though has to sort of stay in their lane a lot of the times, and this ain't their lane. Because they've done this before in a way better form. Because Contra 4 is on the DS is virtually in among itself a remake of the original Contra. It shares a lot of the same levels and stuff, and is such a like better feeling game than this game is. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this is a bad game, but it doesn't feel right. None of it feels right.
I think so. I'm kind of in the same boat. I enjoyed playing. The more I got into it, the more I started to like.
I beat this thing, and that's a lot for a Contra game.
yeah, it can be difficult to beat a Contra game for sure. Especially considering like the first levels are always super easy, and you're thinking, oh man, if this whole game is like that, this is a great arcade experience. Then you get to the second level, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Why do I keep dying in the same three spots?
It took me weeks to power through the motorbike level.
Right? Yeah, dude.
Jesus
oh my gosh.
Christ.
It feels like it, right? It feels like, I mean, it took me like 40 minutes compared to your weeks, but still, no, this level right there. But I think the game functions of, let me just say this, when we initially saw this game get revealed, we started thinking, oh man, I don't know if I don't know what they're doing with the visual style. It looks awkward. Yeah, it actually works really well when you're, in my opinion, when you're playing it.
Yeah, I think it helps that they really leaned into the camp.
Yes.
So yeah.
But the one thing I think that doesn't quite match, and I guess maybe throws me off a little bit, is that the scale of certain things, now that it's in HD, I kind of felt like, when you're grabbing onto the little, like the handles and kind of bouncing up the waterfall doing that, they feel just a tad bit too small.
Yeah, they feel absolutely minuscule.
They feel minuscule, right? And it's like, I know there's challenge involved, but they should be larger. Same with the power-ups when they go by. Like, it's easy to miss them because they feel smaller. And I think that is because you've now gone to, like, HD. You've gone to high-def visuals.
16:9,
yeah. And exactly, the 16:9 aspect ratio throws it off a little bit. So I think the scaling of certain things could have been... I would have loved to see the characters a little bit bigger on the screen. I would have loved to see the power-ups have a little bit more glitz and glamour to, like, just, a little more brightness, a little more...
So you don't
miss them.
The power-ups themselves too, like they're not really particularly great until you get to stage 2 anyways.
Yep.
And
And then you just use the heck out of those homing missiles for every
yeah,
freaking.
it's like the two that I leaned on. I always tried to have the homing missiles and the flamethrower at all times because
Oh, the flamethrower,
the
interesting.
flamethrower at level 2 is just you hold the button down and it is a constant attack.
It is, yeah.
In whatever direction you're pointing at. So if you can get yourself into a blind spot of like a boss or something, you can just constantly cause damage until you have to like jump out of the way or whatever.
Yep. And that's the other thing.
Not have to like power push a button or anything. Yeah.
There are blind spots on the bosses, and there are blind spots on the levels, which I do appreciate because you get into certain spots and like, okay, cool. I can actually just kind of sit here and wait. I think
also
because
no, go. Finish yours first.
Okay, no, I was gonna say it's just that I'll like the way I played the game was I would stop and I would take out all the levels on the screen. Well, guess what? In Contra, in this game, they keep coming. It doesn't matter if you defeat.
It's not wave based.
It's not wave based, and that threw me off when I first started playing like level 2 and level 3.
Yeah,
I was thinking they were wave based. They're not, because I'm so used to sort of classic arcade games, the wave based style, and so the thing about this game especially is you just got to keep running, keep going forward. And I think that's once you get into the mode of just constantly moving and moving forward, things definitely
you don't have to defeat everything that's on the screen. It greatly benefits you to just keep moving forward. You only stop when the screen forces you to stop. So especially in this game. Also, the different characters, so you can unlock different characters right here. Different characters can also use the weapons in different ways. So like certain characters, like the machine gun is different for like robot characters versus Bill and Lance or whatever. So it's they did add some cool like stuff to like certain characters have like. One particular character has a dive kick.
A dive kick is cool.
One particular character, like a couple of them have the grappling hook that you got in Contra 4 and stuff. So
some can do like this speedy rush thing. And
a dash, a slide, double jump. Boy, it sucks when you pick a character and you realize that character doesn't have the double jump. And
man, like that double jump is almost OP because I use that
so this also has an upgrade system in it. You can spend your Contra points that you're earning throughout the game to buy, and they have normal and like character specific upgrades.
Global and character specific.
So like Bill can get like a higher double jump kind of thing, and like or the slide does double damage, and then they have my favorite of all of the upgrades that you can unlock is the automatically every weapon is of level 2. It's an automatic upgrade.
That was the very first one that
that's the one you buy out the gate.
I mean,
it's very Vampire Survivor-esque in a way.
And the cool, I mean, you can go back into levels, you can replay levels and collect, points and all that. They're called perk points or perks, whatever. I appreciated that. I appreciated that upgradability, and then there was it's not a long game. I mean, it's a Contra.
It's every bit as long as the original Contra, which because this game lets you really upgrade the hell out of your character, can really help you actually just beat the game, as opposed to the old Contra where it was like, oh, you either have to cheat or be really good at the game. And even cheating isn't going to really help you too much because the 30 lives Konami code, the 30 lives is just about the exact amount you need.
I think there's also the overload system, I think is what it's called.
I didn't use that too much, but sometimes, like when the guy would come over the radio and tell you about it, was pretty much the only time I would use it. It's like,
when they'd remind you, and essentially it's a way to like sacrifice your weapon in a weird way.
You sacrifice your weapon for certain buffs. Like, you sacrifice this weapon and it gives you iframes, or you sacrifice this weapon and it destroys their shield or whatever. Yeah, so
I did really enjoy the boss fight, the kind of re-envisioning of the boss fights in this game.
Yeah.
I thought there's the one that they show in the video here with the sort of the queen monster mantis like crab thing that's hanging over. That was a really fun boss fight.
It's always been such an iconic Contra fight, and they really made it feel bigger, which is cool. That's the one thing that I think they scaled correctly.
Yeah. Again, I wish they scaled everything else a little better, or at least didn't make the platforms look too thin or too tiny. Like
and especially
it's missing girth. It's missing girth.
Especially but especially since like the action of grabbing like an overhead thing or a bar or whatever is so finicky in Contra to begin with, because it's one of those things where it's like you got to jump at it and push up, which depending on the controller you're using on the Switch can be kind of a menace, and that you don't have like, you're so used to always firing in Contra that like the grabbing onto things like
stuff slows you down
and stops you from firing for a second to position yourself into the right position. It's like just a couple of extra pixels on some of those vertical grips would have been very nice.
Yes, definitely.
But overall, I mean, I don't think I think Contra 4 is still a better way forward Contra at remake in a way, but like
I think it's an honorable effort.
Yeah. Two couple of things to go with this. The stuff that you unlock is really cool, like the arcade mode.
Ooh,
and they've got like a speed run mode that you can unlock. More characters are unlockable in arcade mode,
including some classic, which we don't want to name it, but
I mean, like every character that's unlockable in here is from Contras, like of
lore.
Every like Contras or Probotector, stuff like that. So like that's cool. I did like the very first speed run challenge, and I just start running from the get-go and don't fight any enemies, and I cannot do it. I don't know what the trick is. You need to use real actual speed run strats that I don't have. So and it does set up Alien Wars, like them making an Alien Wars game, which is cool.
You can kind of tell.
You can't kind of tell. It actually says in words.
Well, that's what, the other thing I was going to say is, speaking of words, it is a little overly talky. There are some points where I'm just like, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay. I just want to shoot. I just want to shoot bad guys. Hit the button.
They tried to give an actual story to Contra, which like it does have a story. But
I do like how the two dudes are they're just kind of jerks to everybody. Billy, and they're just constantly like, all right, fine, whatever. We'll include you with us, but we got shit to do. But I played on the Steam Deck. Is that where you played it as well?
Yeah, I played it on Steam.
I think it's a good mobile game. I didn't play along with a friend. We might have to give that a shot these days, but because I love the classic arcade. Although those always felt like they could get chaotic, the Contra games, depending on where you're playing it. But again, I think if anything, the scaling on this one is what kind of throws me off. I liked this game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I found myself playing it on the Steam Deck, and then I'd walk back to my personal my laptop, and realize that I've been playing Rusty's Retirement. Rusty's Retirement was shut off because Steam had switched over to my Steam Deck and had shut off Rusty's Retirement on my PC. And so, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize I didn't rack up as much stuff on Rusty's. But it's
just in case you're curious, the voice of Bill Reiser in Contra is Steve Bloom, who's like an iconic VO actor, best known as Spike from Cowboy Bebop and Tom from Konami.
Oh wow. Cool.
And I forget, the other guy is just anime voice actor extraordinaire. I'm trying to see if who he was in other video games here. He he was an Octopath Traveler too.
Okay. Okay.
He was Oswald.
Ooh, Oswald. Good character.
Yeah.
But yeah, Contra, Galuga,
Yeah.
Operation Galuga, the remake of the first game.
Not Operation Galuga.
Yeah, not Operation Galuga.